Hello? Okay. First off, I like where if you took it from. But you see, the major problem, one, this topic is very wide because if we're looking at policy, it's too wide. So we might narrow to a few things because he's talked about the digital industry, the economic policies, there are policies that has to do with the oil and gas sector, practically every sector. All right, there are policies that affect judiciary, so but let's just look maybe a general overview. Now, one of the problems I've worked with all sense of respect. Sometime I think 2000, mid 2000, I worked at the National Assembly as a legislative aide to a senator, and one of the things I found out was that majority of these lawmakers don't understand the workings of some of these things. It's sad. It's a very sad development, And I tell people that until we have the kind of British Parliament system where you see the Prime Minister, you come, you defend what you're saying. You don't come there with empty brain. But some of those people don't understand certain workings. So at the end of the day, then the voting pattern too. They just say those for, against, say nay, and you just no head count, nothing, and you see things that affect the lives and livelihood of people, the future of. So most of our policy makers, policy generally has been put in the hands of the lawmakers, and we know how some of those people emerge. And you see, their understanding of the workings of a lot of things is sadly put porous or bad. Now, so somebody who doesn't understand what Ife has explained, how do you want him to vote in line with something that will help the average person in his industry? Now, so unfortunately also for them, I worked at a time where, I don't know how it is now, but sometimes you suggested some things to to your Oga that, Oga, this is what's going on, this is what we want to do. Look at it. If it doesn't translate to money directly for him, it was a way. It's worse now. Then we're in trouble. Now, so that's why you find that a lot of things, one of the things that this government put forward, let's just narrow it down. At some point they came up with the ease of doing business policy thing. I think it was the former minister, Elanamba or something. I don't know the correct pronunciation. They came up with that thing. Fantastic idea. Part of it influenced registration of company and the CAC, where you could do a 1-day registration, 2-day registration, and all that. But let me just show you something as simple as certificate of occupancy for land. It takes forever. There are some things I don't do as a lawyer. If you come to me and say you want to do certain registration, I'll look at it. No matter how tempting the money is, I don't want. Why? Because last we will fight. One day you call me like, what kind of lawyer are you? I've given you something 2 years. You're trying to register something. If you want ease of doing business, let me tell you how C.O.O. works. You can't access a loan in a bank. Thank God you. You can't access a loan in a bank on a property except you bring the C.O.O. And outside, just down the road here. If you get your C.O.O. out in 2 years, you're lucky, people, then you pay through your nose. Now, why don't we design a policy where, I know in South Africa, it comes out in 2 months. If you have C.O.O. and it's affordable for the average landowner to have something like that, then he can walk up to the bank. Because the bank doesn't want to hear anything except you bring a C.O.O. If you bring a C.O.O., whether cloned or not, sometimes they don't even, that's another story entirely. But they don't look at it. Now, so they just say, okay, C.O.O., this, we'll pay for verification. Your loan is out in 48 hours. You know what you could do with a loan. Then you know the impact of a loan in the economy, on your business, in the general public and all that. Now, so sometimes I think we have to go back to how we run things in this country. Those who are in charge of policy making really need to sit down and engage people. Most of these policies are not altruistic. they are not people-driven, then people that you're making the point. You know, they do policies in this country as if they're doing you a favor. Yes. Now, so that let's just make it for them. Well, what do they need now? We do this. You don't even care how it affects their lives. And these people don't sit down to know. I mean, no disrespect to the crop of legislators we have. Some are fantastic. But I think majority don't even know how things work and what relates with the life. And then look at the topic, digital age. We're no longer at the analog level and see the thinking that those who are making policies for us are into. So it's a far cry. It's a long road. It's a long journey to success. Because with what we have, most of these policies, people don't look at things. I mean, those in charge of our lives now, let me just put it like that, they are far from us. So it's going to be hard for you. Earlier, the earlier panel, I think it was a lady, I can't remember her name, she said, there are places you go, the way you speak on the island, it's going to be different from how you speak in certain parts of the mainland. You have to come down to their level. You have to understand what is going on. So sometimes they just come, sometimes you see government, they say they're distributing nets for malaria. Is that the problem? Now you see, the biggest killer in Africa is still malaria. The only thing that causes malaria is stagnant water. How hard is that to work around? That is at the level of malaria. Now I'm talking about the level of so many things, but let me not take too much time, but let me just leave it that way. But bottom line, what I'm trying to say is that the quality of people who make laws and policies for us, the kind of people we have now at the helm of affairs are not doing us any good. And as long as they employ the same kind of reasoning that they have right now, then we're not going to make much progress, whether as individuals, whether as corporate entities, until we get the right people in policy making space. Then, well, it's only God. We can only pray. That's
okay. Before we even go into that, one of the ways by which we can actually work around policy development in this country is, I think there's a culture we don't have, and there's a culture of challenging things. We don't challenge things. Government wakes up one day, comes up with something, and everybody just falls in line. Nobody goes to court. We are just, thank you. Nobody goes to court. Nobody challenges it. Some write as much as, some people try to write. Some people try to say things in opposition to such policies. But I want to say today that policies can actually be challenged in court. Policies can actually be challenged in various ways. And I'll give you a very simple example. I say in Surulere, my constituency, where my office is Surulere too. We woke up one day and found out that the local government chairman had changed the name of the streets. Different names. You know what street names are to almost everybody now. I'm talking about something that happened, I think earlier this year or late last year. Different names, unknown names. You just wake up like I'm on Oladimeji Street and they change it to some foreign name. And I'm like, wow, how do I change my letterhead? How do I, inform people and all these things? So at the streets, we had this meeting we normally do on the street. So it was sort of like an emergency thing. So, and because of my profession, everybody just ran down to my place like, lawyer, come and help us. I said, can the lawyer have a But we sat down, we looked at it, and I said, first off, why don't we just write a letter to the local government and even question the veracity of this thing? And I mean, just find out, how did we get here? So I said, okay, fine. So obviously I had to do the letter, drafted it, this. So what we did was, we now put CC, governor, deputy governor, we copied legislator, everything. We've not even sent the letters to the people we copied. We just sent their own letter. They didn't summon us. They begged us for a meeting under 24 hours. And the next thing, the local government person was like, I was ill. I was away for just 1 month. The person I left here, he was supposed to change the color of the... Whichever way, in 48 hours, the names were returned. Apparently, we found out that they collected 500,000. People had paid. They collected that much from people, but at the end of the day, we had the names of our streets. I'm not talking one street, I'm talking a lot of streets. Now, so imagine, they just woke up like, and normal thing now. So, and that was what happened, and they just did it. But if we didn't challenge it, we would have ended up with different names. So I will have to adjust my own letterhead, spend a lot of money on, correspondence, because somebody just woke up somewhere and decided to change things without recourse to the people and how it will affect them. So sometimes we need to stand up. Beyond just shouting, we have to take legal steps. And that's how you influence policies. That's how you change things. You challenge government not to fight or riot or anything, but there are legal steps by which these things can be done. Then there are some also that maybe areas that government is not looking into. We can write, we can petition, we could do some things, and that's how you actually influence government. That's how you formulate policies. That's how you even give them ideas on what to do. Because if we don't take these steps, one day, somebody will wake up and turn our complexion into what we don't want. And we will adjust, like someone said. All right, fantastic questions and quite engaging. My brother, first off, we know policies are quite different from legislations. Legislations, we know how it's passed into law and all that. Now, but you see, policies don't have the force of legislation. But if left over time, it just becomes like, okay, this is part of what we do and all that. Now, one of the things we have to do is policies should actually be pushed in such a way that they will have the backings of the law. No, not just backing of the law. Now, policies should be made into laws. Because with laws, there's nothing. Like the one you gave, sometimes, okay, a good one was just the one you gave. Over time, every government will come up with different things, different dimensions. Okay, we want to do this. And, with so much media backing, you just assume that that thing is a law until it is challenged and you find out that this thing is just, it amounts to a mere saying. It's just something that, a feel-good thing by the government. Now, so one of the things we have to do is groups, peer groups. I think that also comes into his own question. Peer groups will have to come up and push for some of these things. It's unfortunate that this is the only part of the world where I've seen that majority of us don't know the lawmakers. Yeah. You don't know them. You don't know the lawmakers in your constituency. I don't know the councillor in my ward. I don't know him. It's only during election. And they come, they just come plenty like that. You don't even know which one is councillor. They start come. Like, Now, I know the one in Surulere is Desmond. I've not seen him. I need to push some things. You go and submit them in his office. But they'll just acknowledge, for those who have offices, some don't even have. They just use somebody's house. They just put some. But you see, one of the ways by which we could do that is you go there, submit these things, and then try and make them push it. Something that is funny, as good and lovely as America is, you see all these people who make guns. They are not plenty, but they are powerful. Yeah. Every successive government, there's nothing you can do about the gun laws. Those guys are powerful. Those guys are influential. And they will just come. Obama came, rant. This one came, rant. This one too will come, rant. He will shout. They will say all sorts of things. There's nothing. The gun laws are there and nothing can push it. Until some other peer group comes up with something. But people die every day from guns and Now, so one of the things we too could do is we can create a formidable front. Maybe we want to use that with the naked, but I don't know how your dimension of the naked force, but one of the things we could do is come together as peer groups and actually push for some policies to attain levels of legislation so that it becomes written in black and white, then it can be changed. Now, then also there are certain legislations that can also be challenged in court. Thank God I have lawyers here. There are Supreme Court cases that over time, based on the dynamics of human living, the Supreme Court will come and overrule and overturn itself. That this thing is now anachronistic, it is no longer the way forward. And that's what you have. Now, but you see, those things don't happen. They happen because some people push. I know it will take time. Doing a case from the lowest court to Supreme Court takes a lot of guts, takes a lot of money, takes a lot of time, like that. But if you don't do it, you won't get that change that we want. I remember when I was doing my LLM in Unilag, there's a case, Tubosun versus registered trustees of some. It's about one room. Somebody moved out of a room in Little Road, Yaba. Moved out of a room, another person moved in. It's a case on tenancy at will. Tenant at will. They went, you can imagine fighting on top of one room. Up to Supreme Court. It's a Supreme Court decision. If you Google Tubosun versus registered trustees, I can't remember registered trustees or where. But it became a case that it's still relevant till today. So if somebody can fight, illegally getting into a room more is not his room more. So if somebody could do that, then if we take our lives and the lives of our children seriously, I think we can actually push and push until we actually get the change that we want. Maybe God won't help us, but we can actually help ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to stand up for ourselves. And one of the things that we saw, what happened at Lekki, though we have mixed feelings, and what led us there, we forgot it, and we're fighting something else. It was a different thing that took people there. It was mismanaged, and it became an us versus them kind of thing. That was not what we went to do there. There was something, some of you may not like Dino, but Dino Melai, the senator. You remember the case where you'll be traveling on the road, and customs will stop you, confiscate your car, or tell you to go pay some duties because it wasn't paid. You remember when the thing became a big issue? The man was coming to Senate to come and explain. It was supposed to be a landmark thing that will put an end to that thing. They started fighting whether he will wear Ankara or he will wear custom uniform or he will wear his old army uniform. The thing became a mess till today. So in the course of fighting and getting some things done, let's not lose sight of what we're doing. What took people to Lekki was police brutality. Then they deviated into carnival. Then it deviated into something else. Now, state is fighting people, government is fighting state, federal is fighting, like that. And we've lost sight of what took us there. We're fighting something else. So it will take time. It will take a lot of guts. It will take a lot of resources. But if we push it, one day we will get the Nigeria of our dream for ourselves and for our children. God bless us.